Hello and welcome to A Genteel Black Hole, the home of my bookish rambles. My name's Ali, and tag me once, shame on you. Tag me twice, shame on me. This is the snobometer tag, and I'm probably already setting myself out as a snob by pronouncing it snobometer. Anyway, it was created by Isaiah from That Reading Guy, and it's a series of prompts and questions all about book snobbery, what it is, how we would define it, whether we've experienced it, whether we've perpetrated it, and ultimately whether we would consider ourselves to be book snobs. And I've been tagged in this twice, which feels a little bit like an accusation. But anyway, I've been tagged by both James from Quaint and Curious Volumes and Mark from The Book Thing. I am big fans of both of their channels. I'll put the links in the description, and if you don't already follow them, I highly recommend them. But anyway, without much ado about nothing, question the first is, what is your definition of book snobbery? Well, it is essentially prejudice based on someone's taste in books. It's looking down at them for their choice in reading material. So I think if you are a reader, then it's perfectly natural to have strong opinions about which books you like and which books you don't like. I think if you're interested in any particular area, then you're bound to have strong opinions. But when those opinions bleed over into judging the people who disagree with you, that's, I think, when it tips over into snobbery. There is also, of course, if you look at the definition of snobbery in general, a kind of elitist, classist element to it. It's traditionally people looking down at others based on their tastes, their clothes, their mannerisms, etc., because it denotes that they are of a lower class. So if you look at, for example, the character of Frasier in the sitcom Frasier and his brother Niles, they're both classic snobs. They love wine and opera and all the finer things in life, but most of all, they love being seen to love these things because of what it says about their sophistication, their social status. So I think snobbery, there's a kind of conspicuous element to it as well. You need to be seen to be better than others because you have elevated, superior tastes. One benefit I've found from the fact that I'm kind of quite late to making this video is I've seen a lot of other responses to it already, and that's helped me kind of solidify my answers and kind of work through my own thoughts and feelings about it. And one really good response video that I saw was by Lekden from Reading from the Depths, and he pointed out there's also an element of insecurity in snobbery, which again is very apparent if you look at Frasier and Niles as kind of case studies, that they do need to be seen to be better than others. They need to be acknowledged and noticed for their superior tastes. And that kind of bites them in the arse on a regular basis, because they end up kind of missing out on what could be a nice, fun trip to the theatre because they don't want to be seen standing in line for the return tickets, not the return tickets, the the cancellation line. They they're so desperate to be assumed to have gotten tickets on time that rather than standing in the cancellations line and getting a last minute ticket, they end up missing the show so that people don't know that they missed the tickets. And yeah, that's extremely insecure. And I think I've gone off on a tangent here, and I might cut some of this. But you can tell I'm working without a script on this one, can't you? So yeah, in a nutshell, looking down on other people, looking down your nose at them because of what they read that maybe isn't to your taste, and you think is beneath you. Question the second: is there a genre or type of book you would never consider reading? Such as, would you ever read a romance? Or, if you regularly read romance, would you ever try a science fiction novel? Well, for me, although I am drawn to certain genres more frequently than others, I don't believe that there's any kind of irretrievably bad genre. I'm open to trying just about any genre. It just depends whether the book itself sounds good, and yeah, you've got to take that on a case by case basis. I'm the same with music and films as well. You know, I I have my favorite styles of music, favorite areas that I have kind of explored deeply, but I'm not closing my ears off to certain styles or genres entirely. I don't listen to a lot of modern pop music, but that doesn't mean that I don't like any of it, and I'm willing to check it out and see what clicks with me. And it's the same with books. I am drawn mostly to things like murder mysteries, science fiction, sci-fi. I've said sci-fi. That's the same thing. There. Fantasy, sci-fi, murder mystery, and then kind of classics which maybe don't kind of fit neatly into a genre as such. It's more a sort of, I don't know, how would you... Classics isn't really a genre, is it? It's more a sort of era. But yeah, I'm open to any genre, really. I mean, I'm not a big horror reader, but one of my favourite books ever is The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. It's just an incredible... Well, it's a haunting book. And yeah, I've read it several times and I love it each time. So yeah, I'm open to really any genre as long as the book itself seems good to me. Question the third: does erotica count as literature? Yes. Yes, it does. It depends how you're defining literature. If you mean it in the broader sense of just books, then yeah, of course, it's printed fiction. Do songs about sex count as music? Yes, they're still songs. If you are using literature in the narrower sense of kind of heightened, great works of fiction, then yes, they still can be. And if you want to use the publishing industry to answer that question for you, then there are works of erotica published under like the Penguin Classics and Modern Classics lines. You know, you can get a copy of Venus in Furs or like Anais Nin, Henry Miller, stuff like that. Those are works of erotica. D.H. Lawrence as well. You know, these count as works of erotica, and also, you know, established, accepted, great works of literature. So, yes, in a word. Question the fourth. Is it better to read classic books than popular bestsellers? Better for who, I would ask. It's what I gravitate towards more, but different people are looking for different things from their books. I mean, I'm looking for different things from each book I read, and you know, I don't always feel like reading a heady work of classic literature. Sometimes I want something that's written in the modern vernacular and is kind of easier to pick up, kind of smooth to go down, as it were. You know, if someone's looking for something that comments on modern day-to-day life, then they're gonna have to go to to popular bestsellers, because you know there's no mobile phones and WhatsApp groups in Jane Austen, is there? Might have been interesting if there were, but I think, yeah, it depends what you want from the books that you read. So for me, I do tend to gravitate towards classic books, but you know, I'll try a popular bestseller every now and then, and some of them have been really good. So, and also some so-called classics have been shit. So, yeah, it's a case of yeah, take it on a book by book basis. Question the fifth. Have you ever bragged about reading a classic in order to sound smart? Well, I was tempted to say no to this question. I couldn't think of an example of having done that, but then Mark, who tagged me in this video, so rightly pointed out in his video that we have booktube channels, and so I suppose there is an element of me making these videos going, oh, look at me, I'm reading Chekhov. So if you want to call that bragging, then I guess maybe. I do think that when I make my YouTube videos, I am more trying to connect with like-minded people and share my thoughts on what I'm reading. And I hope I'm not just bragging about the fact that I'm reading Shakespeare or Ibsen or E.M. Forster or whatever you like. And also, I'm not hiding when I'm reading, you know, less lauded works either. So, I suppose there's probably a slight element of bragging in, like, setting myself up as a booktuber at all, but I try not to. And also, I think I'm smart enough at least to know that in the grand scheme of things, I'm not that smart. Question the sixth. Do audiobooks count as reading? What about comic books or graphic novels? Yes. I would say yes to all of them. Now, with audiobooks, there is a difference between listening to a book and reading it on the page, but ultimately you are getting the exact same words being put in your brain, whether they're going in via the ears or the eyes. I don't think people should be obliged to specify just in normal conversation whether they read a book or listened to a book. In the same way that when I go out for a wander outside without taking the car, I call that going for a walk. I am not physically walking. I'm going in my wheelchair, but I any attempt to give it another name just sounds kind of precious and twee and irritating to me. I'm not going to say I went for a trundle the other day. I went for a walk. Fuck you. If you listened to a book, I think it's fine to say you've read it. I think if you're reviewing it on BookTube, then it is worth just mentioning what format you read a book in or listened to it. But, in normal conversation, I don't think you should have to specify. And as far as comic books and graphic novels go, yeah, I mean, they're printed material. You're reading them in sequence and getting a story out of it. That's reading, isn't it? And there may be fewer words, or maybe no words at all in some cases. Some graphic novels have literally no words, but what else are you going to call that but reading? It's a book with sequential pictures that tell a story. Yeah, that's reading. I mean, do silent movies count as movies? Yes. So comic books, graphic novels count as reading. Question the 7th. Have you ever looked down at someone for reading a popular fluff book? A book with little substance to it? For example, a self-help book or celebrity memoir? Well, for starters, there's kind of a value judgment baked into this question that I'm not super comfortable with. I think at points I probably have not looked down on people, but maybe looked down on books and kind of gone, oh, that looks rubbish, I'm not interested in that. And sure, maybe to some extent that first thought is still there, but I think second thoughts count for a lot as well, and I always try to remind myself when that happens that I don't know what that person wants to get from what they're reading, but it's okay if it's not the same thing that I'm looking for, and they're allowed to read whatever the hell they want. So in that sense, I try not to look down on people based on their choice of reading, and also without having read whatever self-help book or celebrity memoir it is, I can't know whether they have little substance or not. So it's not for me to say. And although I don't tend to read self-help books, I have read celebrity memoirs. I will read celebrity memoirs in the future. If it's someone that I'm interested in already and I want to hear what they have to say, then sure, I'll read one. And some of them have been really good. Sure, some of them have also been just kind of dull or rubbish, but you can't know that without reading it, really, can you? Question the 8th. Have you ever been the recipient of someone else's snobbery? Yes. Yes, I have. I mean, I'm sure I've also been the recipient and not known about it because they haven't said anything directly to me. They've just seen what I was reading and gone, "Ugh, that looks rubbish." But I do have a specific memory of when I was in secondary school, or high school as it's known in America. My history teacher once accused me in class of only reading teenage boy science fiction. Given that I was a teenage boy at the time, I'm not really sure what else he wanted me to be reading. I also don't think it was the only thing that I read. And also, I don't think the sci-fi I read was particularly teenage boyish, as he claimed. But yeah, there was definitely a very notable value judgment in what he said. But yeah, I well, I guess it did annoy me because I still remember it. But yeah, I don't actually give a toss what he thinks. So thanks, Mr. Redacted. Question the ninth. Would you ever be friends with a snob? Maybe you already are. Sure, I guess so. Question is, would they be friends with me? Question the 10th. Are people who don't read less sophisticated than people who do? Again, I think this question is sort of, it's got a value judgment baked into it. So, for starters, I don't think it's necessarily true that people who don't read are less sophisticated. If if we're saying that sophistication is about having a lot of knowledge about a subject, then reading isn't necessarily the only way to get knowledge on a subject. For example, when I'm not doing this, I'm a musician, and I'm a self-trained, self-taught musician. I've been playing guitar since I was like 11 years old. I've been writing songs even before I could play guitar, and I've been singing, as long as I could talk, really. So I taught myself how to do all of those things, and I have accumulated a lot of knowledge and experience over 25 plus years of doing it. Now, is someone who has read a lot of music theory books but never attempted to make any music more sophisticated than me? An argument could be made that maybe they know all of the technical theory terms and jargon, but I think that my experience as a musician counts for something, and similarly, there are a lot of fields where someone will be learning on the job, and I think that counts for sophistication as much as reading widely about a subject. So I don't think that reading is the only arbiter of sophistication. I I do think it's good to read. I think it's good to acquire knowledge and to learn to relate to people on a deeper level, which is something that I think fiction can allow us to do sort of in a safe space. So I do think it's good to read, but I don't think it's the only way to be sophisticated, and I don't think that I don't think that being sophisticated is necessarily better either. So, kind of an inconclusive answer there, but yeah, I don't think there is an easy answer to that question. Question the 11th. Measure yourself. Based on your answers to the previous 10 questions, would you qualify as a book snob? Well, I'm not sure how to answer that. I suppose, in a nutshell, maybe, but I try not to be. But ultimately, I'm not sure it's for me to say. So, if you want to leave a comment and let me know whether you think I'm a book snob, then yeah, please let me know, and I will try not to get my feelings hurt. And finally, question the 12th, tag some people. Well, as I mentioned earlier, I'm getting to this quite late, and I think most of the people that I would have tagged have already done it. So I'm not going to tag anyone in particular, but instead I'm going to link to some other videos in the description that I particularly enjoyed as responses to this tag. And also, if you have a channel and you haven't already done this tag, then consider yourself tagged. And if you don't have a channel and you'd like to answer some or all of the questions in the comments, then yeah, let me know. I'm always happy to hear from you. So that was the Snobometer tag. Thanks again to Isaiah for creating the tag. It's really sparked a lot of interesting discussion on BookTube, so yeah, good job on the tag. And thanks again to James and Mark for tagging me, I think. Anyway, that's about it from me today. I hope you're having a lovely day, and I will see you when I see you.